If you remember the story of the Transfiguration, when Jesus took Peter, James, and John up to the mountain, and there he was transfigured before them, Peter said, "Lord, it is good for us to be here." And he even suggested that he could build 3 tents and that they kind of hang around for a while. I think we can say the same thing. Lord, it is good for us to be here. Why is it good if all of us here have suffered the loss of a parent, a father specifically? How can we say it is good for us to be here? Well, I think there are at least 3 consolations that we can focus on today. Rather than the loss of a loved one, think about what that means. First of all, gathering today, those of you who have gathered, especially with other family members, and you plan the day, it already brings back memories of the loved one. There may be some difficult memories, but for the most part, they are probably cherished memories. And getting us to think about the ones we have lost, maybe sharing the stories again, and remembering something funny from life, or even something funny that may have happened at the funeral. Who knows? But coming together gives us an opportunity to think about the treasured memories we have. Coming together today, secondly, even if there is great pain, can be a consolation. How is that possible? We would only experience great pain in losing a loved one if we had first experienced great love in that relationship. The greater the love that we had for that person and that person had for us, the greater the pain we will feel at the separation that death brings. It's kind of a double-edged sword, a loss. But that loss reminds us of the great love. And that love is what holds us together. That love is what continues to nurture us. And for many here, not necessarily for all, but for many, the death of a loved one may have come at the end of a long time of illness, a long time of pain and suffering. At that point, we see the death as a real blessing, because our loved one now experiences no more pain, no more tears, no more sorrow, no more sadness, but only freedom. Freedom from the shackles of this body, freedom from that pain, freedom from the limitations of this human life. And that is a blessing. And oftentimes, especially if we have nursed a father, a parent who has been ill for any length of time, we can say it's a real blessing. He no longer suffers. If the death occurred suddenly, maybe as a result of an accident or some disease that just came up suddenly, there may be a consolation in at least he didn't suffer, that he went quickly. So whatever the circumstances, there may be some consolations. If nothing else, there is a great consolation that the one we have lost in death has joined all the other members of our families and friends who've gone before him in death. And that one day we hope to be reunited with him again. These are the consolations of our Christian faith. Our faith, which is based on the death and resurrection of Christ. Our faith which teaches us with sure and certain hope that one day we too will rise. And that our life with God in heaven, as best as we can describe it, will be the fulfillment of our best dreams. And there will be no sorrow or suffering, no pain, no tears, but only joy in the presence of God and all of God's people. The 2 readings chosen for today's service give an opportunity to reflect on what fatherhood means and the importance of the image of fathers in our lives. Our first reading from the book of Sirach is really just a long explanation, at least this part of it, is a long explanation of the 4th commandment, honor your father and your mother. Now, while we were little kids, it was important we understood that meant to obey our parents and to do what Mom and Dad say. But as we grow older, we realize that the 4th commandment means that we take care of our aged parents. At least we put them in a nice home. But we do the best we can for them in their old age, in their infirmity, as they lose the freedom and as they lose the little dignities of life. Where does a parent learn to have concern for a child? We'd say it's a natural thing. We're just born that way. You know, little babies are purple, bald, toothless, and slobbering. But we say how beautiful they are. And you, who are parents, know better than I ever will know. The moment you see them, even after you've suffered through 12 or 24 hours of labor, the moment you hold your baby, whether you're the mom who's just come through the labor or the dad who's bursting with pride also, all that pain is forgotten. And this purple, bald, toothless, slobbering thing you're holding is the most beautiful child on earth. There's just a natural affection, a natural love that you don't have to be taught. That's what is in us as humans. But we wouldn't have that if God didn't create us that way. We wouldn't be able to care for others if God didn't first give us that natural instinct. We recognize that this is a gift from God. That this very way in which He created us was so that we would care and nurture for other people. And especially as parents. Whatever the term of affection is by which we address our fathers, our grandfathers, our godfathers, our stepfathers, however we address them with respect, that's what Jesus is teaching us. That we can turn to God and address God with such an intimate term. Abba, Daddy. And it is Jesus who taught us that when we pray, we can call God Father. The only prayer we have in the Scriptures that Jesus actually gave us for us to say as His disciples is that prayer we call the Our Father, or the Lord's Prayer. And in that He taught us that we could call God Father. In that He taught us that we could look on God as a parent, that we could have that relationship of child to parent, that we could have that comfort in turning to God, who is the source of all we have and are, who will give us all that we need, just like any good human parent would do, any parent naturally would do. And we turn to God with the same sense of confidence and the same trust, because that's what Jesus taught us. God instills that in us. God instills not only the need for that, but also the desire. To lift vehicles, like the kid gets stuck under a car or something. A woman, 98-pound weakling, lifting a car to free the child. Where does she get that extraordinary, impossible human strength? There's something in that desire to care for children. Just yesterday, as tornadoes were whipping through the state of California, story in the news last night of a man who jumped on his daughter to protect her from a hurricane and died as a result of an explosion at their gas station. He saved his daughter by covering her and protecting her. Where does he get it? God-given strength. Parents who put their life on the line for their children. The extraordinary things, even the little ordinary things. Day after day, where do they get it? God-given strength. And as we cry out, Abba, Father, today to God, in remembering those who have gone before us in death, we want to remember them and honor their memory. So today we honor their memories. Today we thank God for those men who had an influential part in our lives and who by their love and concern in some way showed us God's love and concern. And today we renew our own hope in the resurrection and life everlasting, so that we have confidence that we will meet our fathers again. We have confidence that we will see them again and share the fullness of God's life with them.